Ibori's career began in London. When he worked in the Wicks DIY store in Neasden in 1991, he was convicted of stealing from the till. A few years later, he was the elected governor of the oil-rich Delta state in Nigeria, and he was still stealing.
He just couldn't stop stealing, could he? Just in case the millions stashed away by former Delta State Governor James Ibori was forgotten, some inquiring minds still want to know what happened after the seizure. Hello and welcome again to the International Business Entrepreneurs or Grifters podcast. Geopolitical Queen here with today's episode on how ex-convict James Ibori's stolen money is still not released to the people of Delta State in Nigeria. You will bear with me that these holier-than-thou Brits always try to pretend they are saving Africa from some demons. But the reality is, they are only saving Africa from knowing the truth. So what happened 12 years ago? Mr. James Ibori, a Nigerian citizen from Delta State, lived in London with his wife Theresa Ibori in the early 1990s. Mr. Ibori worked then as a shop assistant at a Wicks home chain store, where he and his wife were engaged in petty stealing from the shop every now and then. The couple would be arrested, convicted of theft, and fined for trying to steal goods from the store. Mr. Ibori was also convicted of possessing stolen goods after being caught with someone's American Express card at London's Euston train station. Mr. Ibori would later relocate to his country of origin, Nigeria, where he became close friends with one Major Hamza al-Mustafa, who was the then Chief Security Officer to General Sani Abacha, the then military leader of Nigeria. This connection would help Ibori to get involved in politics and business in Nigeria. In 1999, when Nigeria transitioned to democracy after Abacha's death, Ibori was elected governor of Delta State, one of Nigeria's top 3 oil-producing states. He would go on to serve 2 consecutive 4-year terms, stepping down in May 2007. From 2005, Ibori became a subject of a joint investigation by Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, and London's Metropolitan Police for abusing his office to get rich and laundering millions to Britain and elsewhere. Investigators also found properties he secretly owned in Britain, South Africa, and the United States, as well as evidence of his lavish lifestyle, including American Express credit card bills, showing his routinely luxury hotel visits, shopping, restaurants, and nightclubs expenses. In April 2007, when Ibori got wind of these investigations against him, he was alleged to have tried to offer the then EFCC chairman, Nuhu Ribadu, $15 million in cash to drop the investigations against him. According to Ribadu, he pretended to accept the money but deposited the cash at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Ribadu testified to the story under oath in a London court, and British judges accepted this evidence as true. In 2010, whilst vacationing in Dubai, Ibori was arrested and extradited to the UK. He pleaded guilty at the London Southwark Crown Court to 10 charges of fraud and money laundering and was sentenced to 13 years in jail in 2012. Britain hailed the case as a landmark in a fight against corruption. But we shall revert to the real corruption case soon. Ibori was released in December 2016, having served half of his sentence before and after conviction, and returned to Nigeria in early 2017. Ibori and his co-defendants, his wife, daughter, and mistress, who had also served jail time for assisting in his money laundering schemes, launched appeals against the convictions, alleging that the investigation was tainted because of corruption in the ranks of the Metropolitan Police. They sure assumed that they were dealing with some Nigerian police in Lagos or thereabout, but that was not the case. So now, let's get to the real corruption case that has taken place. So, granted, Ibori was convicted of laundering £101.5 million to several accounts at Barclays Bank UK. This money, which was identified by the prosecutors, is still being held in Barclays Bank UK till tomorrow. So why has the money not yet been returned to Delta State, where Ibori stole the money from, since the British courts managed to establish that it was stolen money? Secondly, as per international laws, Ibori was not a British citizen. Neither did he have any international company in the UK. So who opened those accounts at Barclays Bank for him to enable him siphon £101.5 million to the UK, when his annual salary as a governor at the time was just about £4,000? Furthermore, as the same international law dictates, anyone who aids and abets a crime is punished the same way like the perpetrator. A reason why his wife, daughter, and mistress were also convicted, as they were partners in his crime. But why is Barclays Bank, the main partner, which facilitated the transactions for Ibori and his gang, left out? Were they innocent or above the law? The British government, in their generosity, decided to return some of the funds to Nigeria. As of 2021, the discussion was about £4.2 million to be returned to Nigeria. Yes, we agree that the British stepped out and arrested Ibori and his gangs as compared to his own country, who rather covered up for him. We get that. But hello, what are we talking about? What an insult. If Britain wants to be congratulated for fighting corruption, then shouldn't they be coming out clean than they are doing till now? First of all, this money, which didn't belong to the UK, has been sitting in the British banks for 12 years and beyond, accruing interest. Why does the UK think they have a right to hold on to stolen money? And if they intend to return the funds, what does the pious ones in the UK mean with £4.2 million? From £101.5 million, they wanted to return £4.2 million? Look, not to confuse anyone with percentages, let's break it down for basic understanding. Assuming the interest on this £101.5 million was even just £500,000 a year, wouldn't we be talking about £6 million after 12 years? So what is the UK trying to tell Nigeria with £4.2 million? How insulting should that be? Or how many slaps should the country get at a time? Should there be some Nigerians listening to this podcast? Can someone please update us if this money has been returned to Nigeria at all? So what do you think? Is it right for Britain to keep on holding on to stolen money from other countries? Or Delta State, where Ibori stole this money from, has no right demanding for the return of the money since they couldn't arrest Ibori themselves? Well, kindly leave your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back with the next broadcast. Good day.
James Ibori was able to bring millions of pounds of his looted funds through British banks to buy British houses, to send his children to British schools using a British solicitor. The UK has helped to facilitate his money laundering and his corruption by allowing him to bring his assets into this country.